The review is that the proper title? The review. Oh.
Hello, folks. Stand by for a special Facebook Live from the 11Alive newsroom. And here we are.
Here we are. Hey guys, welcome to our Facebook Live tonight, talking about a story that impacts everyone. Sometimes stories in these investigations, you think, hey, that doesn't impact me. You have dug into something. Chief Investigator with the Reveal team, Brendan Keefe, you've uncovered something that impacts every single person that would tune into this. When wheels go flying on the interstate, and we found something that can keep that from happening. Let's talk about it. We have some crazy videos that we're going to see tonight.
This is the teaser. We're going to explain what this is in a sec.
This is the teaser, yeah. Another deep tease. How much does this cost?
This is 65 cents and could save lives, and we're going to explain how it works coming up tonight on Up Late at 11.
And so when I watched this story, I thought that this was something like, oh, you hear about a wheel flying off of a tire going at a high rate of speed on the highway every now and again, and it's just a little mistake, and no one really gets hurt. But we uncovered that this is a serious, serious issue.
Yeah, especially when you look at this crash right here. This was a woman on her way to work on Georgia 400. That's the left lane just south of Northridge. I pass by this spot every day. Mother of two killed because a wheel came off of a vehicle. It's pretty shocking when you see what happened. In fact, we have our whole story up right now on 11alive.com, but you can see our full investigation on Up Late at 11. And it's an important story because it really focuses on, this woman's life and how really she really didn't have to die.
Yeah.
Because I first did a story on these solutions 19 years ago.
19 years ago.
And yet they're unheard of. That you don't see them on trucks and buses, really.
Yeah, nearly 2 decades later, this still isn't being widely used here in the U.S. to prevent these wheels from getting loose and coming off while trucks are just barreling down the highway.
Should we show them a quick teaser?
Let's show them a quick teaser.
Yeah, watch this video and then we'll come back. Ask your questions on the right. We'll answer them here and also on 11 Alive on Up Late coming up in just a little bit. But right now, let's take a look at a little preview. We've all been there, driving just a few feet away from 18 spinning wheels. But would you have time to react if one of those 18 wheels was to suddenly come loose and hit your car?
911, what is the address of your home?
There's been an accident on 400. There's a woman unconscious in her car.
Okay.
It's his left rear wheel that came off, came over the median wall and hit that car.
Juliana that morning was on her way to work. The next moment, she was gone.
Juliana Shredaway never made it to work or home to her 2 children. Was this just a freak accident or a common occurrence?
A 300-pound tire broke loose from its truck and hit a van.
The tire just flew off and hit my car.
It was complete chaos when a tire broke loose in the middle of the freeway.
The video shows the tire crossing the lot and smashing through a clinic window.
The tire hit his van and it almost hit mine.
17 cars were damaged.
A tire came across from the other side, crushing the roof on the driver's side with the force of a small bomb.
Police and state troopers, though, say that this is very rare, a freak accident even.
Federal records show loose wheels cause crashes on U.S. highways an average of 3 times a day. Just ask this bus driver in Florida.
I mean,
that's just incredible when you see that what happened in that bus crash too.
Right.
And it's far more common than people think it is.
And we saw it from so many different angles. You really did a good job of diving deep into this being a nationwide problem. And you even went around here. So we found this device that could help. Right so here. We said, who's using it?
Exactly.
Who's using it?
It just surprised me driving through a truck stop. Hundreds of trucks I looked at. Only one truck had these devices, and it was from Canada, Canada plates. And the reason is there's a $50,000 absolute liability fine in Canada if your wheel comes off, if you have a loose wheel. In the United States, it's about a $150 fine.
Now,
So that's why you don't see these here and you see them in Canada.
Is this just restricted to big trucks, or do we need this on our cars, or
No,
just
I mean
really trucks?
there's a smaller version over here. If you'll excuse my, well, it's over here, hidden somewhere. But yeah, there's a smaller.
I think I have it at my
version.
desk to
Yeah, I
show
think
you
I have
guys at
one in my
11 on
pocket,
Up Late.
too. But yeah, there's a smaller version that'll fit on a regular truck. Now, a lot of people don't like these little day-glow things. You're probably wondering. Well, we should probably show them exactly what this thing is, right?
Let's do it.
Let's take a look so you can just sort of see,
Yeah.
what this is and how it works, so you can get a sense of. I think I got it right here, so you can see sort of how this.
Yeah.
It's just a piece of plastic. It's analog. It's not an app. It's not something on your phone. It's this. Take a look. We've all been. Murphy's Law, it's not going to play for me right now. So that's why you have to stay for Up Late, right?
Yeah.
Basically, these go all around in a circle on the Titan lug nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And they form a circle with all the arrows pointing in the same direction. Right.
Yeah.
So if one is loose, the arrow turns away from the circle.
Neon green.
And you just look at it
Automatic
in a normal
sign.
walk-around inspection. And that's the really simple solution. In fact, I think I can show you. I have some pics here of what they look like on a truck.
Okay.
So this is actually on a bus. Remember that bus crash we saw a minute ago?
Yeah, that was intense.
Well, look, this is the same bus service, Palmtran, down in Palm Beach County, Florida.
And so they got him now.
When this happened, when the wheel came off, it turned out to be a vendor didn't tighten the lug nuts because he got a cell phone call, the mechanic, during tightening the lug nuts, thought he had tightened them, but he didn't. And so that bus left the yard with the left rear wheel completely loose.
Wow.
And now they have these on every single bus. In fact, they got the old vendor to pay for it. They fired the vendor and under the threat of a lawsuit got the vendor to pay for these. And you can see how they work here. They're all pointing at each other. If one of those was loose, you could simply look at it and tell. You cannot look at a regular lug nut and say that's loose. You can't tell. And, when you look at here, Jackie Lewis has been commenting that this happened to her, and by God's grace, she lived through it. It's really extraordinary, Jackie, and we hope you can tell us more about your story.
Yeah, and so many people
happened.
saying, even in the comments when we posted a teaser to this story earlier, like, yeah, I see stuff flying across the highway all the time. What are you supposed to do? How are you supposed to avoid that? Instances like this, knowing that a wheel caused this, you never think you're driving around with the possibility of your wheel falling off. Now, Brendan, you took a look at this 19 years ago. Revisiting the story, did you find any differences almost 2 decades later?
The difference is that I was surprised that people haven't adopted these yet, that essentially, when I did the story, it was in Houston. It was roughly 01-02 time frame. No, not even. It was the year 2000.
Yeah.
And then I did the story, and I thought, these are going to get adopted. They were invented in the United Kingdom.
Okay.
And they came over to the U.S., and I thought, this is a no-brainer. But then you're seeing people die, and it's frustrating for me as a journalist. I almost feel like I didn't do my job because I told the story and expected change to happen and then didn't follow up. 19 years later, how many people have died because this isn't on all the trucks and buses? And that's the other thing we saw was school buses.
Yeah.
You've got school buses. I was surprised to find out that most Metro Atlanta school buses do not have these. Sometimes you see them. Cherokee County, for example, has them.
Okay.
They have these all over their buses, and that's really helpful. They're starting to add them. They say they're going to have every bus in Cherokee County, school bus, is going to have these by the end of this summer. They're in the process of putting them on. Atlanta Public Schools says, we have them on most of our buses. Then we went and checked, and it was only some. And then it turns out they're not really maintaining them. They put them on years ago, and they're not really keeping up on it. And we found, some school districts like Gwinnett, they say they use a torque striping, which is basically painting the lug nuts so you can see it similar. But like DeKalb schools, Cobb County schools, they don't use them at all. And you got to ask and you're going to see on Up Late at 11, you're actually going to see that Charlotte schools, we're going to show you the bus, 26 students on board. It's frightening. Wheel comes off, hits a car, people go to the hospital, and now every Charlotte Mecklenburg school system bus
Yeah.
1,400 school buses in that part of North Carolina have these devices now.
And
But
that's
it's
what we want.
exactly.
We want that to, we don't want to cover what happened, like this incident that we have here on Georgia 400. We want to help people get ahead of it by
So true.
exposing something that is so easy to adopt.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, when you think of 65 cents, it's not an app. You really can't tell a lug nut. In fact, I had a prop, but it's over at your desk. It's basically a broken lug nut. It's the broken stud. When the lug nuts are loose, it puts stress on the studs. That's the bolt. And eventually they strip, they cut off, and the wheel just flies. And you can see, what happened here on Georgia 400. This was in 2017. Her name was Juliana Shredaway. That's her car. And she was crushed and killed by the wheel from a pickup truck. Because these things, it's not, you think of a wheel as something, it's filled with air.
Yeah.
It's incredibly heavy. Now imagine you're driving 65, it's coming at you at 65, and then the mass of it. And this is what it does to a car. And she didn't have a chance, even though there was a nurse on the spot who nearly saved her life.
And we have so many people commenting that they've experienced something like this. We have Cindy who says the tire came off of the truck in front of us, hit side of the car, not the windshield. Thankfully for that, for Cindy and her family there. And someone here, Shayna, says that she actually saw these on a Gwinnett County Transit bus about a week ago.
MARTA doesn't use them. This is really fascinating. MARTA doesn't use them on their regular city buses. But oddly, they use them on the
smaller
paratransit buses. Yeah. And they said, well, we do a walk-around inspection. We've seen several truck drivers comment, well, we do a walk-around inspection. That's, mandatory for a, and that's what the NTSB recommended in the 90s when there were so many of these. Just do more walk-around inspections. Well, you try inspecting 100 lug nuts visually, you would have to touch each of 10 lug nuts per wheel on 10 exterior wheels of an 18-wheeler. How are you going to do that? No, you're just doing a visual inspection. That's where this solution is so handy.
This visual inspection will work. You would see it out of place.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, when you see what happened to Juliana Shredaway, that, her 2 kids have no mom. Because, these devices were not on the vehicle that hit her. And they're not really common at all on those pickup trucks, but then you don't see them at all on these larger trucks.
With wheels that are, extremely heavy and can launch really far and really cause some intense damage.
It's frightening. And as you saw when we were showing the story earlier a little bit, you could see, I'll just pot it up for a second and then bring
We've all been there, driving just a few feet away from 18 spinning wheels. But would you
just bring the sound down? When I was showing you earlier this story, you could see that the damage that was done to this vehicle, and yet we're seeing so many of these vehicles not using these devices. In fact, they kind of stick out when you see them.
Yeah.
So let's see what some folks are saying here before we have about 1 more minute left in our Facebook Live before we have to prepare for the Up Late.
Yeah, people were talking about, tire tread all over the highway, someone having a blowout in front of them as well. And so, this impacts people, and I think it's
look
really...
at all these incidents.
Yeah.
Look at these are from all over the world, but look at these incidents right here. This guy gets hit. Look, it comes through the wall.
Man.
That was in Houston. This is overseas, but there's several of them that's in Houston also. When these even just the tire coming off can do an incredible amount of damage. And then you see they bounce and they go everywhere. And look at this. It just smashes the windshield. It's really extraordinary the amount of damage that can be caused by these things.
Really putting this all into perspective for us and letting us know that if you happen to see this on the news, it isn't some little minor freak accident. This could really happen and harm a lot of people. So coming up in about 15 minutes, we're going to be on Up Late at 11, really bringing you in depth this story. We'll see you guys.
All right.
11.
Yep. And we're dedicating 7 minutes of our show to this tonight. So this is a big deal because we care about you and we want to make sure that you and your family are safe. And we're going to follow it up on Morning Rush tomorrow morning. I'll also stick around and answer some of your questions here on the Facebook Live after the live is up, so you can click the video. And of course, you can always join us Sundays for the reveal at 6 o'clock, where we have more of this long form reporting.